This is Style Shifter, the podcast where we explore the past, present, and future of the choices we make about what we wear. I'm Daria, and every week we dive into personal style, shopping habits, and the way fashion shapes our lives. Today's episode might make you a little uncomfortable, but in the best way. Because sometimes that discomfort, it's exactly what opens the door to real change. This conversation actually started during a recent coaching session with one of our Studio Plus members. We were reviewing her capsule wardrobe, and honestly, it looked amazing. Cohesive, complete, versatile, with colors that worked beautifully together. And then she asked me, "Do you think I can just stop shopping for a while?" And I said, "Yes, that's the point. You've built something that works. Now comes the best part. You get to relax and just enjoy it." But the fact that she needed permission, that not shopping felt so radical, really stayed with me. Not because it was the first time I'd heard it, but because it captures something I've been noticing more and more. So how did we get to a place where not shopping is the rebellious move? Let me be clear, I'm not anti-shopping. I love shopping. I mean, I've worked as a personal shopper for 15 years. If anyone understands the thrill of finding that perfect piece, it's me. But I'm also probably the most annoying personal shopper you will ever meet, because I'm the one who tells you when to stop. I will say, "You have enough, you look amazing, and you don't need anything else right now. Go live your life. I will see you in 6 months." Because that's the real reward. Not the next thing you buy, but the feeling of not needing anything, of having enough. And I think maybe 5 years ago, I realized I wanted that piece for myself too. I didn't want to spend so much time, energy, or headspace on shopping. Even though I love fashion, I just didn't want it to run my life. So now, with the Wonder Wardrobe system, I shop maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I know what's missing, I budget for it, I do my research, I really enjoy that, and then I'm done. No more aimless scrolling, no more impulse buying, and if I can't find what I need, I just wait until next season or maybe even next year. And I have to say, it's one of the most freeing things I've ever experienced. So before we dive in, I want you to think about something. When was the last time you bought something new to wear? Was it last week? Yesterday? During your morning scroll? I'm not here to judge you, okay? This is not what this episode is all about. I just want to give you a chance to explore some alternatives and find out how much easier and more satisfying dressing can feel when you are not stuck in those same patterns. Today, we are talking about 5 shopping habits that make our wardrobes more chaotic, less stylish, and a lot more expensive. Let's get into it. The first habit is buying new clothes every month. And for some people, it's even more frequent than that. Here's how this usually plays out. You are scrolling through Instagram, TikTok, Amazon, or Vinted. Maybe just taking a quick break from work. You see something cute. Maybe it's an influencer styling a piece in a way you've never thought of, or one of those scary, accurate, targeted ads. One click, maybe 2, and it's ordered. And the process has become so automatic that we barely register it's happening. It's like we signed up for a subscription service, except we never consciously chose to do that. And here's what that actually looks like in numbers. The average American now buys 68 pieces of clothing per year. That's more than one new item every single week. Social media and countless shopping apps play a big part. And our brains are naturally wired to notice novelty. So the constant exposure to newness starts to feel irresistible. The brands, the algorithms, the logistic systems, they are all designed to make buying frictionless. Free returns, weekly drops, limited stock warnings, endless scrolling. It's all structured to keep us consuming without ever really pausing to ask why. And despite spending more and buying more than ever, it's still rare for women to open their closet and feel calm, content, and genuinely excited to get dressed. I'll be totally honest with you. I used to be completely caught in this cycle. I would justify it by telling myself I needed something for a specific occasion, or that this one piece would finally complete my wardrobe. But the completion never came. There was always something else. The shift happened when I started asking a different question before buying anything. What am I actually trying to feel right now? Because often we are not really shopping for clothes. We are shopping for a feeling. Excitement, novelty, control, or just a little hit of distraction when we are bored or stressed. And once you start recognizing that pattern, even just noticing it, you can begin to find other ways to get those feelings. Ways that don't involve adding more to your closet or opening your wallet. The second habit is feeling guilty for wearing the same thing twice. And this one really gets me fired up because it's so backwards, it's almost absurd. Think about this for a moment. You spend your hard-earned money on something you genuinely like, something that fits well, something that makes you feel good when you put it on. And then the society, the social media tells us that wearing it again is somehow what? Boring? A sign that we don't have our lives together? Some of the most stylish, most confident people I know have signature pieces they wear regularly. They have found what works for them and they are not apologizing for it. But let's talk about where this guilt actually comes from. Social media platforms make money from engagement, and novelty drives engagement. So we are constantly being shown new outfits, new ways to style things, new trends to try. And here's something most people don't realize. A lot of the influencers and content creators we are comparing ourselves to, they are either being paid to show new clothes or they are using this content as a business expense. Their entire relationship with clothing is fundamentally different from ours. When you understand that, the pressure starts to lift. You realize you've been comparing your real life to someone else's business strategy. I remember the first time when I just started my YouTube channel, I wore the same outfit twice while filming videos in the same month. I actually felt so nervous about it because I thought like, would my audience notice? Would they think I was running out of clothes? You know what happened? Absolutely nothing. No one cared except me. And that was such a freeing realization that all this pressure I was feeling was coming from inside my own head. Now I have pieces I wear regularly because I love them. They work for my lifestyle and they make me feel like myself. And that consistency is actually become part of my personal style. The third habit is automatically buying new instead of fixing what we already have. And this one hits different because it's not just about clothes, it's about our entire relationship with ownership and value. You have a sweater you love, but there is a small hole. Or pants that fit perfectly, but the hem came loose. In the past, people were more likely to take those things to a tailor or even fix them at home, especially if they were made well and had meaning. But now we do the math, and if the repair costs more than a few dollars or takes more than one step, we convince ourselves it's not worth it, and we replace it with something new instead. If this happens just once a month, choosing to replace instead of repair, you are potentially spending at least extra $500 per year. That's money that could go toward things you actually want more of. Travel, health, savings, or fewer better clothes. Still, it's not always so simple. And I had a reality check on this from someone who commented on Instagram. She's from Germany, and she told me that replacing the zipper on her Doc Martens cost 70 euros, while she could buy a second-hand pair on Vinted for 28. And I get it. That math makes replacement look like the obvious choice. But I think it's worth asking why something broke in the first place. Was it the quality? Was it how it was made? And when you do choose to repair, it's worth having that conversation with your tailor or cobbler. Ask them about the materials they will use and how long it's likely to last. I have a summer dress that I've worn for 7 years now. In that time, I've had it hemmed, had slits added to the sides, and when the hem broke again, I had it repaired once more. Overall, the additional alteration cost me about $60, and I originally bought that dress for $150. But since I wear it constantly, every spring and every summer, the cost per wear is incredibly small. And more than that, I care about it. Every little fix adds to the story. I know the fabric, I know how it moves, it feels like mine. There is something satisfying about keeping something going, not because it's perfect, but because it's worth keeping. It creates a different kind of connection with your possessions. Instead of everything being temporary, some things become lasting parts of your life. If you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I see these habits in myself, but what do I do now? I want to invite you into the Wonder Wardrobe app. If you're tired of the guilt, the guesswork, or just feeling anxious every time you get dressed, you are not alone. Inside the app, you will find real conversations, gentle guidance, and inspiration from women who are also learning how to step off the shopping treadmill without giving up their love of fashion. It's completely free to join. And if you are ready to go deeper, we also have Studio Plus, a guided creative space where you will explore color, fit, and personal style in a way that actually makes sense for your lifestyle. It's designed to help you understand your style better and feel more confident in what you already own. You can start today at wonder-wardrobe.com or click the link in the show notes. Now, let's get back to those shopping habits. Habit number 4, buying a completely new outfit for every special event. Wedding, new outfit. Work event, new outfit. Vacation, time for a whole new mini wardrobe. It's such a common reflex. An event shows up on your calendar or a trip gets booked and suddenly it feels like nothing in your wardrobe quite fits the moment. And sometimes, yes, a specific event calls for something you don't already own. That's completely fine. But when buying something new becomes the default, every single time, it's worth pausing to ask why. Here is what I've noticed. It's not always about impressing other people. Often it's more internal than that. There is this belief that the version of us attending that event or going on that trip needs to be upgraded somehow. Like vacation me needs different clothes, or work conference me needs a more polished wardrobe. The new outfit becomes a kind of ritual, a way to say, I'm ready for this. And that can feel really good for a while. But what happens after the event? That piece ends up in the back of your closet. You don't reach for it again because it feels too tied to that one moment, too specific, too separate from your daily life. And here's where I've already started to notice the contrast, especially when I travel with my husband. Most men, they take their 2 favorite pairs of shorts, a couple of t-shirts, and call it a day. And somehow they are content. They show up, they enjoy themselves, and it never occurs to them that their wardrobe should reflect a new version of who they are on that trip. But women, we are taught, often without even realizing it, that each new context deserves a fresh version of us, a slightly more polished version, or cooler, or more effortless, whatever the story is. And instead of looking inside, we try to create that feeling by buying something new. So watching him, my husband, helped me unlearn something I didn't even realize I had internalized. Because I used to do that too, buy new pieces before every trip. As if being in a new place meant I had to become a new version of myself to match. But what I've learned from him and from slowing down is this. You don't need a whole new wardrobe to feel present and enjoy the experience. You can just take the clothes you already have, relax, and focus on the actual joy of being somewhere different, instead of trying to look different for it. Over time, this habit of shopping for events can really shape how we think about our style. You start to believe that feeling confident or ready always requires something new, and that belief keeps you disconnected from the wardrobe you already have. But there is so much value in showing up as you, consistently, instead of trying to become someone else every time something special comes up. Habit number 5, and this is the big one. Measuring your worth, your style, or your success by how much you own. This habit underlies all the others, and it's probably the most damaging one. Somewhere along the way, we started believing that having more clothes equals having better style, or that a full closet is a sign of having made it in life. But here's the thing. Style isn't about accumulation. It's about curation. It's about expressing yourself with fewer things that say more. Think about the people whose style you genuinely admire. I'll bet it's not because they have the most clothes. It's because they seem to understand what works for them and they wear it with confidence. That's a completely different skill than accumulating a lot of stuff. Style comes from understanding what works for you and leaning into that, not from constantly trying new things because you think you should. When you shift from accumulation to curation, everything changes. You start asking different questions before you buy something. Instead of, do I like this? You ask, will this work with what I already have? Does this fit my lifestyle? Will I actually wear this regularly? So, where does this leave us? If these 5 habits are so normalized but not actually healthy, what's the alternative? It starts with awareness, which is what we've been building together in this episode. Once you see these patterns, you can start to make different choices. But awareness alone isn't always enough. Sometimes we need tools and systems to support new habits. You get to decide what normal looks like for you. Just because social media or our capitalist society has normalized certain shopping habits doesn't mean you have to participate in them. You can choose to buy less frequently and more intentionally. You can choose to wear things you love multiple times without apologizing for it. You can choose to repair instead of replace when it makes sense. You can choose to work with what you have instead of constantly acquiring more. And when you make these choices, you are not missing out on anything. You are actually gaining something much more valuable. A sense of confidence that comes from within. A wardrobe that truly serves your life. And the freedom that comes from not being driven by external pressure to constantly consume. Now, before we wrap up, I want to answer a listener question that came in. This Q&A part is one of my favorites because it lets me connect directly with you and tackle real wardrobe challenges. Today's question comes from Neda, and it's about navigating different dress codes while staying true to your personal style. Let's take a listen.
Hi Daria, this is Nida. I have a bit of fashion dilemma I'd like your opinion on. I have two distinct capsules in my wardrobe. My personal style is casual with dramatic elements, while my professional capsule is more classic with a touch of drama. The issue comes when I travel with colleagues for work. They dress very formal and classic, and that's also the general dress code when meeting with partners. I often feel a bit underdressed or slightly out of sync. Should I consider creating a separate travel capsules that more formal to blend in better? Or is there a way to tone down the dramatic elements in my existing professional wardrobe so I still feel like me but more aligned with the group? Would love any advice on how to navigate this. Thank you.
Neda, this is such a great question, and I think many women struggle with this exact dilemma: how to honor both your personal style and professional expectations. Business formal dress codes don't really allow you to fully express your personality or be trendy. They are more about presenting yourself as a highly qualified professional. But that doesn't mean you have to completely sacrifice your identity. Instead of creating an entire separate travel capsule, I would suggest working with your existing professional wardrobe and making small adjustments for these formal occasions. Here is how I think about it. Aim for about 20% dramatic elements, or what speaks to you, what you think your personal style is, and 80% for business formal. So your personal style elements should be subtle but still reflect your personality. For example, you could add an accent bag to a more formal outfit, maybe in a bold color from your palette or with interesting texture. Small accessories are perfect for this: a nice watch, unique glasses, or jewelry that has personality but isn't overwhelming in a business context. The key is feeling comfortable and confident in what you wear, because when you do, your colleagues will notice that positive change in you. You don't want to feel like you are wearing a costume or completely betraying your style. Thanks for that question, Neda. If anyone else has wardrobe dilemmas they would like me to tackle, you can send them to me at wonder-wardrobe.com/ask, or you can also find it in the app. And if this episode sparked something for you, I would love to hear about it. Inside the Wonder Wardrobe app, you will find a space for real conversation about wardrobe struggles, style confidence, and learning to dress in a way that actually feels good to you. It's free to explore, and I would love to see you there. As always, I'm Daria, your guide into conscious style shifting. See you on our next styling adventure.